Hey guys, welcome to the Root to broadcast. Today we are playing eyeballs.
As my co-host for today has told you, hi guys, and welcome to the Root to the Fruit podcast. I'm your host Jay Smith. This is my co-host Logan Alexander. Today's guest is a tremendously intelligent human being, one of my favorites. She has a PhD, a doctorate. I'm pretty sure she's a master of something. The content today is going to be high level. We're going to get into exactly what makes her tick, why she has such a thirst for knowledge, and some of the really, really cool things that she is into. With no further ado, my guest for the day, Miss Kelly Nobles.
No, we had chatted about it, and I was gonna order it for Christmas, and then it started raining in our basement. We had floors, and our HVAC died. I just kind of got life happened from Thanksgiving to like Christmas, and I just totally lost track in my head of everything.
That's fair. I think it's dope. I want where I'm gonna go with it, or what is gonna I'm gonna write some piece of literature that will hang somewhere that's important. So
there you go. There you go. So that is mine is just like yours. It's black. It's not engraved. That's cool. No, it's not as cool. I actually liked yours better. That was fun looking blue. Might have to get me one in blue.
Hey, I'm not even mad at it. I'm not kidding. And I was telling Dawn when I opened it, she's jacked up because she know.
Yeah, she knows.
I was like, "What the French toast?" I was like, "I don't like people getting me stuff. I just don't. I'm anti for anybody trying to get me something. Don't." But I was like that. I still have a smile on my face. Because I'm like, what would you possibly get me? You would get me the shit. Yes.
Because when we were in Vegas and I bought that one, you were like, I know I've arrived when I get a pin, right? And I was like, well, okay, we'll get you a pin, we'll get it engraved. And the next time we're in Vegas, you have to go to the Venetian, because Mont Blanc is like Tiffany's. They'll survive a nuclear winter. That store is still going to be there in the Venetian. So we will head over there next time we're in Vegas, and I will show you the world of pens.
Yes, I'm jacked up. Well, let's get into the deal here.
Okay.
Where do you come from? I said on the Logan, help me with your intro, and it's a little disjointed from what I wanted, but I know you will appreciate it. Where I want to hear your entire story, because you're a doctor.
Yeah.
I need to know all the letters. I need to know all the letters. I don't want to talk about what the letters do. I need all the letters, and the hunger. It seems as though for me, it seems like you have a hunger for education, self-education.
I do. I'm a big proponent of education. I would tell you, in leading the folks that I've led so far in my work life, one of the things I do with the junior folks is education, right? If you need help applying to a school, I've written recommendation letters for folks to universities, masters, bachelors, whatever is the case. I am a big proponent of education, right? Because knowledge is power. Even if I end up in prison tomorrow, still Dr. Kelly, right? People can't take that from you. They can. I don't need to end up in prison. But if I did, I tell people knowledge is power. There's different types of intelligence, play to your strength. And unfortunately, the education system really only tests a couple types of intelligence.
Right.
But I am a big proponent of education. Yes.
Critical thinking. Where did that derive from? I know you despise. We are a lot alike in a lot of ways, and I love it so much. You despise stupid people. Like what?
I would say I have very little patience, right?
That's what I meant. So, again, rough around the edges. I
improving
understand.
yourself, you know what I mean? And I always tell people, a lot of folks talk to me about these are the things I want to do. You have a plan, and that's great, but the power's in the doing.
Right.
So get started, right? And I actually work in a group that is called Plans. I would do things called plans of action and milestone, right? It's action and those milestones along the way. right? So people can talk to me all day long about, oh, well, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm thinking. Well, do,
Right.
right? So yeah, education and get it done.
I love that.
Yeah.
Where did that originate from? Is that like a family thing, or are you just independently that way?
Actually, no. So I'll back up. So I grew up in North Carolina, as you know.
Okay.
Probably, I don't know if you know or not. I moved to North Carolina around when I was about 8 years old. And I was actually the first person in my family to graduate from college. Believe it or
Okay.
not. Yes. So my
That is
parents,
news to me, right? Like I'm like,
yeah. But I will tell you again, I've a piece of paper isn't a prerequisite to being an accomplished, intelligent person,
for sure.
right? I think it sets people up for success. Like I said, that's that power. No one's going to take it away from you. But my family from the Southeast, my mom went to Carolina, but didn't finish school. My dad finished his associate's degree and then worked his way up over the years. Back in the day, it's a lot of it, and even now, experience takes you a long way. But there are glass ceilings. There are ceilings that you hit when you don't have that degree, which I think Donna talked about on her podcast. But anyway, so I grew up in North Carolina, and my parents had determined, our children are going to college, right? And they were very active in, this is what you're doing, right? And for me, I would say that I did, to some extent, growing up in the South, you hear a lot of the Southern accent. People kind of equate that with not many brain cells.
Right. We call it country dumb.
Yeah. And so seeing where some of my family, how their lives turned out, it's not bad, but it's not what I wanted. Right. I didn't want to live in North Carolina. I didn't want to stay there. I wanted to be the apple that got catapulted from the tree. I didn't want to fall near it. Right. You hear me. Right? So yeah, so I grew up in North Carolina, and I always had this mindset when I was in high school, like, do well, get good grades, and then I go to school. And one of the big motivators for me is when people tell me I can't do something. And I had somebody early on in high school who told me, oh, you'll never get into Carolina. I'm like, what? I'm sorry. I have above a 4.0. Like it's over a 4.0, right? So for me, it's always that some of the hardest walls you meet are made of human flesh, right?
Yes.
And I always tell people, when somebody gives me a no, I'll find a way to a yes, right? So I did really well in high school, applied just to Carolina and NC State for college, got to both. Thank you to the person in my past who said that'll never happen. Appreciate you. Happened.
Shout out to you. I want to know where you are because I'm petty.
Right. But it was instilled in me at an early age that this is what you were going to focus on, right? My parents want something better for us. My brother and I have one brother. And yeah, a lot of it, I think, for me was, my parents pushing that, me seeing how some people around me, how their lives were, and wanting something, agreeing with my parents, wanting something better.
Right.
And then just focusing. And again, I think there's different types of intelligence. I happen to excel at the ones the educational system tests. I tell people, at least in my observation, to be successful in life, you have to have a little bit of each kind of intelligence, but you really have to have a little bit of each, but you have to excel at least one. You got to play to that strength.
Right.
And develop your weaknesses still, but there's certain things I'm just not good at. That's never gonna change. You ask me to draw something, forget it. Okay, it's gonna look like a stick figure on a sheet of paper. Music, art, I love it, but I mean, I'm just not the creative in that way.
Right.
I don't have that kind of intelligence. It's not my story in life. But I played to my strengths, and they happen to align with the education system. So went to Apex High School with Jess. Funny enough,
I actually didn't know that. That I didn't know.
Yes. So we went to the same high school. I was very introverted, got called names. I read a lot, stayed in my own little space. I didn't, even growing up, I would go in my room and read books and write. I had nice pens even as a high school high
And
school pen. My
we're
first
gonna get
pen.
it. We're gonna get into that. I'm so jacked
Yeah, we'll
up.
get
I
into
love
that.
this. You
My
got me.
first pen, my dad actually bought for me when I graduated college. So yeah, so if I were independently wealthy, I would love to move every couple of years, live somewhere different, buy an old house, fix it up, and be a writer. Actually,
What
but
just any type of right, like fiction, nonfiction,
so
historical? What are
I
we
don't
talking about?
know. I've done a lot of science writing, technical writing,
Right.
and I do a lot of writing at work. But for me, I could never figure it out, right? Because I'm like, I don't have a tortured enough past to write fiction.
Right.
And I don't think I'm interesting enough, certainly, to write some kind of nonfiction, unless it's a research paper, right? Which I've written,
Oh, there
my
you go.
thesis was kind of a book. But yeah, I don't know. I don't
That's
know.
fair.
Maybe one day I'll write a book.
You and we're alike in a lot of ways, and obviously it's illustrated here. The that yearning a lot the same way. Like I looked around when I was growing up, the very same thing. I'm like, yeah, I don't want none of this shit. No disrespect to obviously my family, my parents, and so forth.
It's just not my choice.
I'm just hunting more. Like I have
Yeah.
aspirations for more, not necessarily things, but experiences, and being able to travel and see the world and this kind of stuff. That was not something that was illustrated to me early on in life. And once I realized it was available, I wanted it. I immediately wanted it. So we definitely aligned it. And NC State is a fantastic school.
Yeah.
Fantastic school.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time there. Yeah, I went there for college. Did well. I finished 2 bachelor's degrees there. And then from there, did well in school, applied to grad schools, and then went over to Duke. Much to my mom's chagrin, she was very unhappy being a Carolina fan. I understand, but it's, I'm a Duke basketball fan now.
I get it.
I went to the games and sat outside in Hayville. I mean, what are you gonna do? So went to Duke, stayed near my family a little bit for grad school. But I knew after grad school, I was like, I'm not staying in North Carolina. That's not happening. And more of North Carolina is beautiful. It's good cost of living, but it was more, I want to live in different places, right? You can travel and visit, but I think you really, when you live somewhere, then you understand, the differences geographically from one place to the next. So like we've moved different places, and I like living in different places, trying out different things. And I know that you guys have talked about, I think it makes us stronger, right? When you move somewhere, and we moved to California from North Carolina. So after grad school, I'll kind of go a little bit linear, but after grad school, it's called a postdoctoral associate for a couple of years, trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grow up.
I'm still looking, so that's fair.
And then, in fairness, I applied for jobs in the private sector, had some offers there, but decided to take a pay cut, go in the public sector, serve people if I'm a government scientist. So Jess was not expecting that, but moved out to California, and we'll get into more of that later, but kind of big broad brushstroke overview. I will say though, I think going through school, going through all that, I wish I had dialed it back a little bit and done like study abroad. I always felt like I was in a hurry to get to the next thing of my education, the next part of it. So in high school, I was focused on, okay, I'm going to do this, so I get into a good college. And in college, I was like, all right, I'm going to do this, so I get into a good grad school. It's all about the next step in my education.
Now, is that a product of, and this is just my observation, because I'm not kidding, we're a lot alike, minus all the letters and stuff. But you are very goal oriented. Like the goal is the goal. That's what we're doing. That's what's going to happen here. And achieving those is that one of the primary reasons for that. Like, and I find myself kind of, and I call it I'm the broadsword. My wife is a scalpel. It's different. Like I will get it done, but how it gets done it's going to be high quality, but I'm not going to pay attention to all the details. That's not the way that I'm built. My wife is the complement to that. But that's a similar thing for me. Would you say?
I would say I'm kind of a mixture of both, right? I tell people you have to have this broad vision. And life is fun, right? I mean, if there's different opportunities out there, sometimes it changes. I mean, I think my education was very linear, but my career, I kind of was like a kind of blowing in the wind there for a little bit, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. But I would say I'm kind of a mix of both. I think you have to have a broad vision, but you also have to realize sometimes the devil's in the details, and you have to pay attention to those details when it matters. But you have to have that wherewithal to know, okay, at this point I have to look at details. As annoying as it is sometimes, and it is to me too. I mean, you get stuck in like this tedium task at work, you know. But it's going to somebody really senior, and you don't want to have the details messed up when you're presenting a big broad vision, because then people aren't gonna, they're not gonna buy in.
Gotta be squared away.
Yeah, I would say I'm a mix. I'm a mix. I'm a scalpel when I need to be, but I do prefer, and I expect people to have a vision, like a broader goal, just in terms of life and what you want to achieve. Yeah.
So you and we'll go to California. So what was your experience like there? I know we came to visit you guys briefly, but what was your overall experience? I mean, obviously beautiful place. You know.
Well, we were outdoors a lot. I actually loved it, because I'd always said to people, no, I don't want to be in North Carolina near all this stuff so much that I'm just gonna move to California. And I literally had earlier in life said when I was younger, I'm moving to California. And then I moved to California. So we're just checking, we're checking off my goals here in my vision. I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. Different culture, really.
For sure.
Different activities. I can tell you, driving my GT Mustang behind all the Priuses was a thing for me in California. That was a thing. Yeah. If you ever see the SNL skit Californians when they're driving, that's real. So I had a little issue there, but by and large, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was fun to live in a different place, and we drove the West Coast, as you know, we came up to see you guys. I like that. I like I said, traveling, seeing different things. So I had been out of town for work for a few months. When I got back, we just drove the whole West Coast, saw all parts of California, and I'd been to San Francisco before. Northern California. I actually prefer Northern California. But drove that, did Oregon, Washington, went out to Lake Tahoe while we were there, just did that kind of West Coast thing. But yeah, I really liked it. I felt like it was a lot more laid back than the DC area where I'm at right now.
Yes.
This is a pressure, kind of high stress area. California, a lot more laid back. So in terms of my work, for sure.
I feel like that's a West Coast thing. Like right? Like I lived on the East Coast for half of my life, and now living on the West Coast, it's just different. It's different. It's not better. Well, I love the time. I feel like I'm time hopping all the time. So
yeah,
that's great. But it just feels like it's different. But the negative or the down is most of my close friends are from somewhere else, because of the way that people friend on the West Coast is different. It's very I don't know you. Right. Where in the South and the East Coast, it's I know you, let's get to know each other while we're already knowing each other.
Right.
It's just different.
Right. Tell me how you feel when you were feeling what you were feeling, kind of thing, right?
Right.
No, California, I would agree. I mean, I do have some close friends who I met in California, but certainly not many. But I'm also, like I said, I'm introverted, right? I mean, people exhaust me. That's just what that is. It's just draining to me, my energy level. Yeah, no, for real. So, but I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the weather. I enjoyed the new activities, new scenery. And I think it was good for us. I mean, kind of like what you guys talked about, what Jess talked about, when you move across country and your support network is gone, all of our friends and family are on the East Coast. Hey, that's it, right? When we first got there, I would say the first year, pretty much, it was, I would say it was a little bit stressful. Certainly adjusting to a new job, mixed in with just trying to find a job. That's never an enjoyable activity. That's never fun, looking for jobs. Yeah. So we had some stress early on, but I think once we got settled in, got that stride, hit that for the last couple of years, we were good. And I really had a great time there.
And that's one of those things too. Like when we moved up here early on, it was a lot of like little things, but it really wasn't the little things that were. I'll speak for me. It really wasn't the little things that were bothering me as much as feeling like I was enclosed in this deal and I couldn't leave like that. I was getting claustrophobic, and so those little things now become big. That like who left a swallow of orange juice in the refrigerator, and now that becomes the entire day.
Exactly. Well, and that was one of the things, because we had talks at one point. I'd be at work all day, and I'd come home and I'm managing people, so I'm exhausted, right? Because I have a bunch of people in my face. And Jess, meanwhile, while she was looking for the job, has been at home all day. So she's like, "Oh, let's go out. Let's go to dinner. Let's go." And I'm like, I'm tired, and I don't want anybody to talk to me. I don't even want to have to order food from another human being. I just need to be in my little cocoon with my dog that doesn't talk to me. So I walk my dogs in the morning and the evening. It's kind of my recharge. It's that quiet time. They don't talk to me, right? We understand each other. So that part was a little hard, right? Because she's, and I get it. And it's my fault. She's at home all day, right? So then I feel even worse. So I'm like, we moved here for my job, and we're going to continue to do that. Just economically, it makes more sense to follow my job. I'm a numbers person, right? So yeah, it's just, I feel terrible. I'm exhausted, and I don't want to say anything to you when you want to go out, because it's my fault you were here at the house all day, right? That becomes a thing.
And that's got to be a precarious situation, right? Like obviously we have the other way, because I'm the primary caregiver for the kids and everything like that.
Yeah.
My job is completely flexible, so I can be anywhere. It's a different animal though. When at the beginning, I didn't see what to your point. I didn't when she gets home, good.
Right. Exactly. Here.
Ooh.
Yes.
It didn't occur to me until much later than it should have. I'll say that for the public. Much later than it should have, that wait, you're having a whole day too while I'm dealing with poop, pee, and whatever.
That's her second job, right? When she gets home.
Right. You get to have a second job as opposed to this whole deal. So no, I'm with you there. You feel terrible because you're like, wait, okay, let me get this thing going here.
Let me dial myself back here for a minute before I actually say the words in my head. Yes.
Right. Because it is, because I may like, and I feel like you're the same way. If there's something on my mind, you're gonna get it. I'm going to tell you. It's not going to be a Shaggy or Scooby-Doo mystery here. I'm going to let you know. So whatever you do after I give you that information is now your responsibility.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't sugarcoat stuff, and I have certainly been accused of being too direct.
Lies.
I'm obviously not the touchy-feely, tell me how you feel while you're feeling those feelings, right? That's my world. That's not my world. It is, and especially like when I get home and Jess is venting about something, I go to the automatic, what do I do? How do I fix it? What is the action item I need to take to fix this for you, right? And we've had those conversations too, where it's, no, I just want you to listen and let me vent. And my head goes spaz. I'm like, I have to fix this for you. I have to do, right? So
I'm getting anxiety. You just telling me that I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Right. So we definitely have that too. Because I would come home and she'd be stressed out or upset about something. I'm like, what do I do? There's a do in here somewhere. You're
sifting through the conversation.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well,
like trying to pick out the tasks.
There it is.
Something I can do to control this situation and make it better for you, right? I guess it's kind of that control thing or something. I don't know. And then that annoys her because she's like, no, I just want you to listen. So we went through that, I would say probably in California initially. And so now the conversation will start with her saying, I just want to vent. Because then that tells me, okay, check. I am your
Yep.
sounding board.
Defense
Yes.
is off. Yep, everything's off.
I don't
Defense
need a
is off.
task
Get down.
list
Yep.
for this conversation. I got it.
Whew.
Right.
Hit me. Yeah.
So yeah, we went through that in California. We got there. But yeah, that was, I mean, it was a challenge, but it was fun. And I do think it made us stronger. It makes you talk really to that person.
Yes, and you're actually actively listening, right? Like
Yeah.
and I'm a fantastic listener, but listening to my wife tell me something or talk to me, it's a completely different planet than just talking to pick a kid.
Right.
I'm listening
Right.
to what they're saying, but I'm thinking of the other 4 things that I need to do, or somebody just kick something or knock something over. When my wife is speaking, it's very clear. Nothing else is happening in my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yes. So that did happen there. But then I think it was 2016. Yeah, it was 2016. I had the opportunity to apply for a fellowship for work to get back to the East Coast. And I did, I will say I did when I used to just visit, like the DC area. But this gets to that, visiting a place and living there are very different. Now I don't actually want to be in DC, but I feel that I'm going to be stuck here for a while. Anyway, so I left the history and everything in DC, but I had the opportunity to apply for a fellowship, applied for it, got selected for that, and then that got us back to the East Coast because I thought, well, as much as I travel for work, this gives you a support system. Like you have family, the area, your sister is nearby, her brother, my parents and my brother are just down in North Carolina still. So gives us within driving distance. When we lived in California, we really only flew home once a year to see family.
And
I usually did that.
I don't think we do that. Do we do that? I don't think we do that anymore. Shout out to Mama for she gets on all types of. That's really, I mean, I love my family. I love you guys. I love that. But we live here too, so
yeah. Well, and I say
thing.
I went home once a year, usually around beginning of December. But then my family, they would come out to San Diego, so I did see them a little bit more than once a year. But it was definitely no more than twice a year while we were out there. So now we're in DC, the rat race area.
Yeah, and I want to ask. I'm gonna skip that. But the are the crab cakes still as good? I'll ask that one because I want to know.
I liked the seafood in California better, honestly. So that was, yeah. I mean Maryland crab, it's okay. So DMV area, I actually live in Maryland. We did live in Northern Virginia. Kind of moved around just within DC. But no, I liked the seafood restaurants we went to on the West Coast. And the best crab I ever had was a job interview actually near San Francisco. I was in Berkeley, California. And they do the wine and dine thing if you have like a 13-hour day of interviews with everybody and their dog and you're exhausted. And then they take you to dinner and you still have to entertain people. So
that was right. Yeah, that's right. That's right up your alley. That's what
right. As much as scientists, right? So you would think. Anyway, so in Berkeley, I went to some restaurant, had just the best Dungeness crab, blue Dungeness. I mean, it was amazing. And same when we were in California, we went to seafood restaurants quite a bit and really liked it. Fish and chips out there is actually really good. It's cod. Here you get, I don't even know what it is, nondescript whitefish or something fried.
Whatever they pulled in, it's so bad.
Yeah, no. I liked it.
But it's only bad because now you have something to compare it to, right? Like when I lived on the East Coast and we drive up to AC and stop off in Maryland and get crab cakes and hang out and do whatever. You couldn't have found something better. And then you move to the West Coast and you're tasting and you're going around, especially here in Seattle where they just pull it out of the thing and there it is. I'm like,
Yeah,
What was I
exactly.
doing? Why was I suffering like this? What am I?
What was I
I'm
thinking?
I'm better than this. What,
Yeah.
it's one of that.
No,
one of
we
those
really
deals.
liked the food in California, even the Mexican food, because the cuisine is different in the different geographic regions in Mexico, even.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit different taste over there, that kind of Baja, different flavors. But yeah, definitely cuisine I liked on the West Coast.
Perfect.
So yeah,
I
but
want to talk. I want to talk about your pin obsession. I'm gonna
pins.
do it.
Okay.
We're gonna get into it now. Now this is gonna happen. This is in here
Okay.
because now you've got me on the hook. Now
That's
I'm
right.
in.
Right. I got to reel somebody in. Right. And so when you said that in Vegas, I was like, oh, it's on. He's going to like pins. He's going to like pins. He's going to appreciate those.
Absolutely. With absolutely full stop, without a doubt. I'm trying to think of things, whether, like I said, if it's going to be some type of book, which
Yeah.
I'm apparently going to handwrite it. Apparently that's how it's going to be written. I'm not going to use
Well, I'll tell
anything.
you, computers actually, so there's a couple things at play. Number one, I do actually write still handwritten notes at work for employees or bosses, not many, right? So employees have had a couple hundred, bosses, a lot less. But I can count still probably less than 10 in handwritten notes that I've given out. I know for me, when I work for folks and I've received a handwritten note, they had to think about it. It means more to me personally. I hang on to those. But the other thing is when I'm writing, so because I do a lot of writing work, sometimes I get a legal pad because you can see more lines, right? It's like a flow of thought versus a screen on a laptop. You see it's like
nothing.
5 lines, right? I don't remember what I wrote way up here to flow with, so I actually do have a legal pad and I sit there with my pen of choice for the day or at the time. And yeah, I do actually write longhand, even meeting notes and stuff like that. I remember stuff. It's how I used to study in school.
Mhm.
I would recopy my notes a lot of times. So I don't know what it is, but writing kind of transferred the information to my brain somehow, writing it out.
I was a
And
triplicate. I was a triplicate person. I'd write it 3 times and that was
yeah,
it. I got it. Let's go.
yeah. So that's what I used to do. I in college, and I did flashcards and other stuff, but a lot of times just recopying my notes and really focusing while I did that. I retained stuff. So I've been writing for a long time. I have calluses and stuff on my hands.
The whole thing. It's a whole thing. But like I
That's the
said,
thing.
these aren't like what got you into the what I like to call the Tiffany version, the higher level. Like we're not talking about big nonsense. Are you kidding me?
No,
Bullshit pens. We're
no,
talking about like elite. I've got an elite pen.
yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
nobody
this
no,
is
most people don't spend that kind of money. They spend like $1.50 on a pen, right? So for me, I did like writing when I was younger, and I think I was in high school, maybe middle school. I feel like, I was in my room a lot. Like I said, I would read, or I was focused on school. I'm writing a paper, and I went to school pre-Google. I actually brag about that. I was pre-Google. We didn't have a laptop, internet, whatever. So you actually do have to write, and no cursive, that kind of thing. That's a thing.
I feel like that makes you smarter to me. To
There's
me,
something.
for me, you are the smartest person that I
Okay.
know. That's not me.
There are people who are not going to be able to read historical documents in the Library of Congress because they don't know cursive. That's a thing, right? It's disturbing to me. But anyway, so I think probably around middle school age is when either my parents bought me a cool pen, and when I say cool, it's probably like a $10, I don't know.
Right.
Or I like those ones with the different colors. You push the button and it spits out the different color pen. I don't know. I just liked it because I wrote a lot. So I would say somewhere in that time frame is when I started paying attention to my actual writing instrument when I was writing so much. I took a lot of AP courses in high school. I do a good amount of writing for that. But my dad, like I said, I think it was my college graduation. He got me my first one. My first nice pen, actually, my dad purchased for
That's
me.
awesome.
Yeah, I was a daddy's girl growing up. Yeah, so he bought it for me, and my mom at the time, I remember her saying it was just a waste of a lot of money. but I still have it. number one, 20
Oh,
over
then
20
that
years later, right?
then that's an investment.
Yeah.
If you still, yeah,
No, I have a
that's not
display
even the
case
same.
that my dad built me for the pens at this point, right? Because I've
What are
collected
we
them over
doing?
the years. There's a
Yeah.
case over here.
Yeah, what are we doing? I genuinely feel like, and I'm not kidding. Even when I opened, you sent me a birthday gift, Christmas gift. I opened it, and the first thing that shot through my mind, other than the extreme joy, like holy crap, this is not what I expected to open up, and in a good way, in a great way, was I'm going to have to teach myself again. Like what Logan's in the handwriting thing now, I'm gonna be in there right with him, because I'm not picking
Yeah,
this pen up for just whatever. This is not,
right.
no, I want to be on point when I jump off. It's gonna be for real.
Yeah, and I was talking to my dad when he gave it to me. He said sign important things with it. And my thesis actually for my PhD, you had to sign certain documents where you're going through that process, finishing up. And then I also have I have some I register at Library of Congress. I sign the form. I do sign important things with it.
I love that.
I do what I was told. um, and then since he bought me another one. He and my mom somewhere in the years, and then I bought pens too. So yeah,
That's so
just kind of
cool.
continued.
That's so cool.
You'll appreciate it. It's like perfect balance and consistent ink flow. You're gonna like it. You're gonna appreciate it.
I've got to get, now I've got to train. I'm gonna train. I have that, and I get obsessed. I think that's my wife likes to call it passionate, because she loves me. But
Yes.
I get obsessed with being good at something new, and all the things that it requires me to unlock in myself to get
Yes.
to the part where I feel like, okay,
Yeah.
we're good enough to show up now.
Well, and I am obviously we're, from another mother, but related. So I'm the same way. So folks don't know this, but my job changes every couple of years. We move around, I job change. And I like that. I like the challenge of it. Right. So a lot of it, there is similar stuff, right? But you have to learn a little bit different organization. You have to learn the processes within that, how to work most effectively in that new environment, to get things done and accomplished. Because I'm that person. How do I get to done? Right. If I don't ask, the answer is always no. So I just kind of go and do.
So I got married. Yep.
Yeah. Yes. I actually never thought I would be married, honestly. I think I'm a hard person to love. I will say that. I think I'm a hard person. Yeah. Surprised that she really married me. That's the thing. Yeah. So I think I'm a very, very exacting person. I have high standards. And I'm not a touchy-feely type.
Yep.
So I'm not that soft, snuggly, kind of person. I'm like, no, don't get back on your side of things,
Okay, and there's a running joke in our family right now. Like, if I'm hugging you, like now the kids do it, where they're like, okay, that's enough. Like, it's obvious. It's not from a lack of love. It's not from any of that.
No.
It's just I'm not that way. I'm not.
No.
I was not procured that way.
No. I am surprised. I do think I'm a hard person to deal with a fair bit. And I always joke around, well, you'd rather have your hands full with me than not. Or I'm worth it,
Oh, yes. By
yeah,
far. Absolutely. Yes.
You get a lot in return. But yeah, I think just my personality in general, and I'm very kind of like you, my brain locks onto something, like I have to get this thing, I have to figure this out, I have to be really good at this. Or
Yes.
even to this day, as many presentations as I've given, right? I'll still stay up. I do some of my best writing and stuff at night. It's been like midnight. I'm a night owl. And that's when I do work, and then I do get stuck on work quite a bit. Because there's just too much going on in the day. So when I come home, like if I have my employees' evaluations are due or awards or something, I do those at home because then I can focus on it. And they deserve that. People deserve that. But if I'm in my office, typically pre-COVID, obviously, pre-COVID, when people were in an office, there's always my door's like a turnstile.
But I laughed right then because we watch right, like when we're at the end of the day and we're watching movies and I'm seeing all these mouth breathers with no mask and like that like what are you? I'm like, wait, this is a movie. This isn't even recent. What am I doing? This is not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, now I do feel I telework probably about, I would say 50-ish% of the time. And then Jess is 100% of the time. But I do feel I get more done without people, coming at you all day. But again, not that that's not a good thing. I do like interacting with people, having those conversations, and you find it's an incubator for collaboration. But now I'm like, oh, look, I got all this stuff done. I was crossing stuff off, right? I'm doing.
I like that. I'm a doer. I'm a doer. I'd rather do.
I tell my folks, like, what do I need to do for you, right? Like, task me, or my bosses, like, what do you need from me? So yeah, I get tasked quite a bit.
I love that.
Certainly work, but my head wraps around it, and I think that's one thing that I think Jess and I have tried to work around. Maybe I come home and I vent for 30 minutes and then work is done.
That's it.
It's done. I gotta shut it off. Yeah, I gotta shut it off and focus on my family and other stuff.
Well, it's a different deal, and we've kind of gone through that same thing. I'm the sounding board, right? Like and I try to reciprocate, but I keep a lot of stuff in house. That's just how I am. But I can listen to my wife talk about her work. I know who she works with. I know what's going on over there.
Yes.
It's a live look in because it's always been that way. And now I encourage it to be that way. Like at the beginning, obviously, I'm like, come on, man, you're burning up my time talking about this nonsense. I don't give a damn about them. I don't care what they're doing. You here with me. Let's get,
right.
have all of this.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Right.
But the more I climbed into it, the more it was like, she was like, wow, you're really listening. Yes, because you were talking. That's why I was listening.
Yeah.
There may be some nugget in here for me. And for me, I always feel like I'm gonna get tested on it later. So I'm always paying attention.
I'm always kind of proud of myself when, because Jess comes home, talks about work, and it'll be like a month later, she'll be talking about something. I'm like, oh, this refers back to what this thing was a month ago, right? And I make that connection. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like brushing my shoulder off. I'm like, yeah, see, I remember that. I remember that conversation. I remember Karen bothered you a month ago. Yes.
Yes. And we still don't like her. That's
no, but in full disclosure, she doesn't work with a Karen. Names have been changed.
Just say yes, to protect the innocent. That's how it is.
That's right. That's right.
I want to round this out. With, we share a collective passion for numbers and analytics. What kind of got you into that hobby for you, but profession for me?
So in grad school, I actually worked with someone who I'd never even played poker, right? This is like circa 2005, 6 or something, somewhere in that time frame. I worked with someone that had played online, Poker Stars, shout out, back when we could play there, miss it.
Freedom isn't free.
So he actually, I'm gonna give a shout out. I still have my the stuff that I ordered from the store. I have a shark with aces, all stuffy, got full tilt coasters. It's a thing. Hoodies, yeah. Saved all those. None of those get thrown away. Sad day. April 2011, for those wondering. Anyway, so a friend of mine at work, you're the only one who's ever going to watch this, knows what the hell I'm talking about, but that's fine. So a friend of mine at work played online, and he had me and some other folks over just to have drinks, and we played like a $10 tournament, and he set it up like a sit and go on Poker Stars. So I started playing sit and goes. So yeah, he had set it up. We did $10 buy-in, and I just really liked it. I was like, oh, this is fun, And when I was in grad school, I think at that point in time I was living alone and I was a poor grad student, right? So I didn't have cable. I just had internet, I listened to music. And that was a good hobby. I had internet. So he had told me about it. I think I put like $25 on there and just started out just, playing for fun. And then made some money. And I was like, wait a minute. I made some money here. I remember I probably in my file still have the first check that I cashed out of Poker Stars.
I would not be shocked if you had it. I'm
I
gonna say
don't actually know if I do. I don't know, because this was paper check era again for the kids if they're watching. Probably
like,
don't
what's
even know
that? What do you mean direct deposit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does she mean pre-Google? What is
You mean
that?
wire transfer? No.
What's
That's
illegal?
not what
What's a legal pad? I don't understand. Cursive, right? This is a blast to the past for all the kids that watch this. So cashed out a paper check and thought to myself, wow, I can make some money. And my friend also, so we would talk, just in passing at work or, kind of coffee pot talk or whatever. Tell me about 2+2.
Yep.
So I started reading forums, and next thing you know, so I play at night a couple nights a week or on the weekends, and got a database software. Right? So I would do my research. Had the poker tracker, HUD, hold a manager because it was about volume. But yeah, I just then was kind of self-studying and made some money in grad school doing that, and not an exorbitant amount of money, just supplement my income. Could go out, take Jess out to a nice dinner when we started dating, whatever. But then in 2011, so I graduated with my PhD in 2010. It was like December 2010, and then everything got shut down April of 2011. And I just haven't played like that ever again because the sites now, I don't think they're very reputable.
No, most of them are not. The only one that I actually play on is WSOP when I'm in Nevada.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the Wild West.
Yeah, no, it is. And just with my work schedule now, there's casinos in Maryland. And I want to say on average, since we've lived in the DMV, DC, Virginia, Maryland area, I would say on average, I go to a casino like once every 2 months. I mean, it's just because having to drive there and you got somebody sitting there that's like trying to talk to you and you're like, I can't deal with seeing 20 hands an hour. I just can't. Doesn't compute for me. I don't know. So really, I don't play much at all anymore. So.
Well, I mean, in COVID anyway, right? Like samesies. I play on an app right now with some guys that I know. But for the most part, it's not. It's now I'm in study, just waiting for them to open the cage.
Well, now, right, and now I think it was different in grad school because I was focused on I can supplement my income a little bit. Now I just play for fun. I'm like, well, okay. I don't know. It's not the same. I still enjoy it. And I'm still competitive. Like I will take chips for my grandmother at the table. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But it's a little bit different now because it's just for fun, really. Versus before, it was nice to get even a $500 check when your paycheck every month is like $1,700.
Yes.
So yeah, it made much more of a difference then than now. So I don't think that I don't know. I guess I just don't have as much of a drive. I still like it. I would love if online poker comes back, I will do it. Right. I also like sitting in my home.
I was about to say, and this is it might be a tag team situation when this thing goes where you play online, I'll go mop up and live and we'll get it going. But it's the same thing, right? Like you and I have contrasting styles in that regard, because I miss live so bad my teeth hurt, and it's not even the revenue as much as it is I get physical joy from from taking something that you thought was yours from you and you voluntarily gave it to me.
I like the competition, and I'm the same way. So when I sit down at a poker table, probably a little bit of me lights up. And I know Jess, when I used to play, she would really enjoy watching because I'm really into it, right? And yes, it's a hobby, but to me, it is the competition, right? The analytics of it, the math, the memory, the pattern recognition. It's all those things that really, like I said, in school,
Yes.
it's what it tests, right? So memory, analytical skills, pattern recognition is like an IQ test, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do, when I sit down at a poker table, I get excited. I'm with you. Like my heart will be like, woo, yay, cards are flying. But the idea of having to drive to a casino, and it's also, there's a safety issue. I know we've talked about this in Vegas.
Right.
I'm a small female, and the best time to make money is when everybody's drunk, because you're playing the people, right? And you just got to beat the
Yep.
rake. It is really pretty much at night, and there's a safety issue there for me. Jess does not, she's not comfortable if I go to a casino, and you know me, I'll get into playing and I'm like, oh, I've got this whale over here and I'm just going to sit here and keep going.
I'll wait.
I'll keep going. And then the next thing I know, it's like 1 a.m. and it may be a Saturday, it's a Saturday night, it's a weekend, but at the same time, she's worried. And there was that safety factor, I think, for me. So yeah, if online never does come back the way that it used to be with reputable sites, at this point, have to be regulated, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would do online again in a heartbeat. That was a fun hobby, and now I don't have it anymore.
I miss it. It's not. I'm ready for it when it's safe, right? Like I've been in my bag. I'm 3 times. This is some scary shit too. I'm 3 times the player I was in July of last year. Like just because I didn't have the online bag because I didn't need it. So now it's exponentially better, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Online's a different beast. It's a different beast for sure. But I will say I'm looking forward. I get my first round of my vaccine on Tuesday. Come to find out, I found that out today. Right? Yes. Shout out for vaccines for those who.
Science is nice. Science is nice.
Being in the medical profession gets you.
Science is nice.
Gets you earlier in the line for that. Which actually I wasn't expecting. I was not necessarily expecting that I would be receiving it so soon. But I did have to go out to a medical, do a medical thing with COVID testing earlier this year. So yeah, so vaccinate, and then hopefully things can open back up, and we'll be back at our hobby and what we enjoy. It makes your heart race a little bit. Yeah. And I'm hoping because I was so sad last year, right? We had that house in Vegas reserved.
Yes.
And it was so relaxing when we went in 2019. I was so looking forward to it. I was looking at that house. You look at it a couple times, you just need that moment. You're like, oh, look at that pool, right? Because it's the company, it's the house.
Yes.
And there's always something to do in Vegas.
Always. That's why I love. It's one of the reasons. Obviously, they pay me to go there too. But I get excited that when I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, there are a bunch of things to do. And
that's right.
Other people like, oh, well, I wanted that steak, or I wanted, whatever.
You can
because
have
I lost track of time. You can have whatever you can have whatever you can pay for. They will do it. I love that.
I do too. I know I talked to Jess a little bit because we've talked about different places to retire, and we talked about like maybe Oregon, and this is many years down. I don't think I'm ever gonna actually quit working. I enjoy being productive, as we've discussed. So I could see later, much later, doing part-time thing, university teaching, something like that. But for a while we had talked about Oregon or Vegas. Where we want to end up. But yeah, it's fun town, and I can't wait until we actually have a house there, and we get to actually take our trip.
There's a better than likely scenario of our youngest Logan going to high school in Las Vegas, because it might just be how it is. It might just be.
I always liked So Jess is a big CSI fan, the CSI Las Vegas, the original one with
Mhm.
Grissom. You know,
Yep.
he's running that lab, PhD type, and he initially moved to Vegas to play cards. It's a bunch of math and analytics and IQ test type stuff. So I told her at one point we were watching that, I was like, oh, I could do that. Yeah, we go to Vegas. I could work at like a state lab or something, and then we'd be there, and yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could see doing that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the cards hold for us, so to speak.
Yes, ma'am. And the pit boss over here. Gotta make sure we get permission. We gotta get permission
That's
for
right.
these things.
That's right. I tell everybody.
I'm just talking. I gotta get permission for the stuff I do.
I love the T-shirts you guys had on your interview when yours is the boss and hers was the real boss.
The real boss. Yes.
Yeah, we need Jess and I need those T-shirts. It's true.
I'm straight up and honest. My buddies are like, oh, you say your wife? Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'll slap you, but my wife keeps me in line, and we keep everything on.
Yes.
Yeah, we're on the straight and narrow. No sweat. She is absolutely the boss.
That's what I know. When we moved to California, when I took the job that I did, I told Jess, I said, look, you're having to leave your job, and she was, I think, looking at a promotion there at that time. And it really stings me. Her career has just been totally derailed, and it's all my fault. I mean, it's completely all my fault. But I told her when we moved out there, I said, I've got you, whatever you want to do. You want to volunteer, you want to go to school, you want to work part-time, or whatever. You're in charge. We'll figure it out.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's right.
Whoever said it, and I'm not the first one to say it, but that's a thing I live by. It is very true. It is very true. Well, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I appreciate you coming on. I know.
All good.
I know. And I love you. You know that.
I do.
Know that.
And we'll go. I think 2021 is the year where we go to the Venetian together, and I walk you into the Tiffany of pens. Yeah. I'm in. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
No sweat. Well, thank you guys this has been another episode of From the Root to the Fruit. I've been Jay Smith. That is Dr. Kelly Nobles. You guys make sure you like and subscribe if you appreciate the content. It helps the channel out a ton. And we will see you next time. Please take care of each other. My goodness.
Yes. Have a good one. Love you.